We're going to open the Selectmen's meeting of August 29th. Open session public meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. We have an appointment at 7:20 to interview the finalist for Council on Aging Director. But first, we've got about 10 minutes and we can try to get through a couple things here. The first thing is the Cable Access Committee preliminary request for AV hardware of town office meeting rooms. I think we received a little bit of feedback today from different towns on what they do. Did you both have a chance to take a look?
Yeah. I did, and I also had a chance to talk to West Boylston and, Hubbardston and Boylston. And both of them weren't there when it went through. For Boylston, they're one of those that, hey, they have to get up and leave when there's an executive session. Part of the problem is that, though, there were a few instances where the monitors in the room weren't on, but they went back and checked and the cameras were recording them. They also have large signs in any of the rooms that basically say you're under surveillance. You know, you could be recorded without your approval or information. So, I mean, she seemed fine with it, but said that they also went through lots of concerns about that. And that their town administrator office is not wired. So if the plan is to move this office into that, I don't see the value in wiring it for 2 years or however long it's going to take. To me, that's a waste of money. The Hubbardston one, they are expanding it to pick up Council on Aging and Board of Health. That there were a couple occasions where it went on autopilot that it shouldn't have, so they just go over and they unplug the audio, to which I asked him about the concern. Person in the audience brought up about lip reading, and he said that the quality isn't that good, that you could pick it up. The one thing that he does like is that it keeps the boards in order, because there are several boards. They never go into executive session because no one ever attends their meetings, so he said it helps keep them in line with all your...
Do they have to get up and leave and go to another room?
Yeah, no, they stay there, but they never say that they're entering into an executive session, so their open meeting just rolls right into whatever, because no one's ever there. So he said that...
Even with the cameras?
Since the cameras have been in place, it's stopped.
Okay.
But before the cameras, it was a free-for-all. So he's okay with it now that some of the issues have calmed down.
Seems to me, well, I guess the people that responded to this listserv, maybe only the ones that are against it responded.
Yeah. It seemed to me too that the question was sort of written in such a way to solicit confirmation of a negative response. So,
yeah.
But I also noticed that a lot of them did have hardwired cameras, and they may work differently. But I think that probably the concept of the cameras is something that will have to come into play at some point. Whether we go now or whether we go at another point, I think hardwired cameras seem to be something that was relatively common. Chief Galvin also said that there were cameras where there was a big flashing red button, so you knew they were on. You could turn them on and off, that sort of thing. So maybe there's technology that would work better than
something that's just stays on by a timer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there may be alternatives, but my supposition is at some point we're going to have to deal with the concept of hardwired cameras in some fashion.
I mean, the gentleman from Hubbardston did say that if, like this, where our meeting was supposed to start at 7, it would have turned on at 7. Mm-hmm. As we were doing chit-chatting, it could be conceived as, I'm trying to collude with you and, people in the room, so.
Yeah. After thinking about it overnight, and just the fact that there could possibly be room configuration changes because they've been talking about that, I guess, for quite a while. I mean, maybe new to us, but they have been talking about it for a while. And the fact that I think we need to get some department feedback, you know, put it out there to see what the other departments, how, if that's gonna be a problem for them. My suggestion would be that perhaps we wait until the Maytown meeting to readdress it, or to at least get the feedback in. I'm not sure if the feedback would come in a timely manner to put down a, you know, to put it on the special town meeting warrant.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I do think it's the board that has to make that decision, because I can tell you that most people are going to say, no, we don't want the cameras, because
Right, if they could.
meetings are not, frankly, they are not as much fun without with the cameras in the room. So
Sorry.
the feedback you're going to get is, you know, we don't want the cameras. So I think it is going to come down to us to make that decision.
Oh, it will.
But I think there are different configurations. Like you said, that it's possible that the rooms are going to switch around sooner rather than later. So I would agree with the delay.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And definitely, maybe it'll give Brittany and company time to investigate alternatives to
See what's out
which
there.
technology to see is appropriate.
Okay. All right. Are you taking notes?
I am.
Oh, you're so good.
I know. Yay! You can fix them and format them when I'm done. Thank you.
So I'm going to move on to the ambulance service collection policy.
Can I
Do we need
interject
to
just for a
vote?
minute, only because the town clerk, the selectman's office has received a citizen's petition for the town meeting.
Okay.
And historically, I just take them and give them to the town clerk to certify that the signatures are good. But since you're meeting now, she would just like you to acknowledge that you've received this, and then I will send it to her.
Okay.
So, there's 18 pages, 7 pages of signatures. 100 signatures are needed, there's 111 there. She checks and makes sure that the 100 signature threshold is met.
Okay.
And then it does secure a spot on the warrant.
And I think it hasn't changed any since I believe I saw it.
Put online.
It was posted, yeah.
I think Ellie
Couple
would check
different
to make
places.
sure, because on one page it says the language, and on the back side, she was careful to try to keep the signatures close to the language so that people knew what they were signing.
Okay.
So Ellie, I suspect, checks that for the registrars before she asks them to sign off.
Okay.
I'll double check with her.
Is either one of you want to take a look at this too?
I've scanned it and I can send it to you all, but
All right.
you want it? Here's another copy of this stuff if you want. Or Peg.
You can give it to Lisa.
Okay.
Here, I'll let you take a
Yeah, I
look.
was more just like, you have to be really careful to use the signature sheets that Eloise gives you, so I was just curious how this.
I think Eloise,
So how do I
she tells
record
me,
it?
walked her
To
through
say
the
that we
setup.
received.
Excellent.
But
So
yeah,
does it
sometimes the
just
sections up
acknowledge
top
that we
and the
received
signatures
it?
are clearly on the
Okay.
same page, so you don't like bend them as you're gathering signatures.
Okay.
If you're
All
good
right.
if you're good with that, she's still gonna check over the form of it and make sure the signatures are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So do we need a vote to acknowledge?
She'd like that in minutes.
All right.
So got it. It's already there. Hey.
All right. All good.
So,
Good, done,
yeah,
done.
we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the ambulance service collection policy, I believe Mary and June gave some suggestions to it today, and they are included,
They were small changes.
Yeah.
I saw.
Yeah.
There wasn't
weren't
anything
anything
major in there.
significant, not significant, so, if we want to I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. If you want, I can start going into no, we've got the ACO update.
Yes, we do. So Eric from Whitewater was kind enough to return my email. For the September items, he said that the system drawing was complete, the cross-connection survey should be done today. He was requesting an extension for Title V. I sent the email up to you that he's looking for someone to help him with that.
And you got the email about Roger Bradley.
Oh, is it?
Not Roger Bradley.
Wheeler.
Roger Wheeler?
Roger Wheeler.
Paul
Are
Wheeler?
you doing Title V now?
Paul Wheeler?
Paul Wheeler.
Yes,
Paul
it's the
Wheeler.
Yes.
Roger Wheeler and Sons.
Okay,
And I think there is a phone number in the email sent to us.
okay, I'll get in touch with Paul. Thank
Okay.
you.
So it looks like just with the extension on the Title V, everything else is
Everything is good for September 1st.
good. He just wasn't letting us know.
No, and I emailed him late last night, as I emailed you all late last night, and he turned around and had it in the email this morning, so.
Good.
Yep.
All right. All right. Holly.
Hi.
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 You want to come
Can
up?
I, you want me up
Yeah,
there?
come on up here.
Come on up here, yeah.
Move our junk.
Okay. I didn't realize I'd be on TV.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we have
Fun
to.
stuff.
So we got copies of your resume,
Okay,
your cover letter,
good.
and do you want me to start? Would you
Oh,
like to
sure.
start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Our first question is a two-part question.
Okay.
Why are you interested in the position, and what makes you a good fit for the position of a Council on Aging Director?
The reason I applied for this position is because in my last 2 years working for the town of Princeton, I have really developed kind of a love for working with municipality. I know that might sound strange, but I picked it up really quick between the budgets and the warrants and things like that, and being able to work with the community, having a flexible schedule with Parks and Rec, because that's what I do in Princeton, has worked out well with my gap with the years. The last real job that I had, and I say real job before I became a mom, I worked in long-term care for 15 plus years. And that's where my original love was. And then as becoming a mom and living in the town of Sterling, I volunteered for various groups and things like that. And initially when I saw the outreach position come open in Sterling, I took that up, and I loved going to people's homes. Honestly, I loved being able to do one-to-one, and I like to work within the senior center also. It gave me opportunities to meet more people within the Sterling community. Unfortunately, it was only an interim position, so luckily for me, when that was over, I saw the Princeton position come up, and as I said, I just really I took to it. And so when I saw this position come up, because I look on the municipality websites, and when I saw the Council on Aging position come up, I thought, this is great, because I can take my experience from before I had kids, from my long-term care experience, and then I can take my municipality experience and kind of put them together.
I see.
And I said absolutely. And before I did that, though, I did go through your website and your minutes and your warrants just to make sure that this would be a good fit for me. And when I was reading that they were looking for a COA director, I wanted to read why. And it just seemed like a really good fit for me, especially for the fact, since this is a new position. When I took on the Princeton position, unfortunately the woman before me passed away unexpectedly, and it was vacant for a really long time, so I was able to make it my own and kind of grow with it. And I feel like that I would be able to do the same thing for this position also.
Well, that kind of answers, I think, one of the questions I had on your resume. You were temporary in Sterling?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that was in interim, because they were trying to look for a director for the senior center.
Yeah.
And the outreach coordinator that was there, she was going for the director's position. So if that had worked out, I would have stayed there, but it didn't work out that way.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Which way are we going?
Go that way.
Go that way, okay.
Can you detail a little bit more your specific experience working with the elderly population?
So I started it by when I was 16 years old, my grandfather fell ill. And so he lived with us for a really long time, so I helped him with all of the things that he needed to do to get along. And one of the last things he said to me was, he's like, you should be doing this. So as a senior in high school, I went to Holden Nursing Home, and I started off as a certified nursing assistant there. And I was there for over 12 years. And so with that, I became physical rehab and activities, and you name it, I did it. And then I went to school to be in early childhood education, and I did that for a little while, and I just didn't have the same love for it. So I went back to school and I got my bachelor's in psychology, and from there I went and I started to work as an Alzheimer's director. And the reason why it was a short term is I ended up starting my family unexpectedly at that point, and I didn't have to go back to work. So that's how I started in geriatrics, and I've worked, as I said in my cover letter, I've worked with people from 0 to my eldest patient was 106 years old. And being able to do it in long-term care for the nursing home, and I've been to hospitals and outreach and being able to go to people's homes, I just am able to develop a rapport with people, and they remember my name when they see me, and I think that's what it's all about.
Good.
So you had talked just a few minutes ago that one of your positions you had made it your own. So where this is a new position, what are the challenges that you see? How do you see yourself making it your own for this one?
So the one that I made my own is my present one in Princeton as Parks and Rec Director. And making it my own, first of all, it took me a while to first learn budgets and warrants and bill schedules and things like that. That took a lot of time. The other part of it is, I got to use my creativity, especially as Parks and Rec. And I listen to the people that email me, and they give suggestions and they want to see certain things, and you try to make them happen, and sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I've been able to deal with some things, people not happy about certain things, which happens, I think, in every position that you take, and I think that you just do your best to work through it. Find another person to help, work through it.
Okay.
Okay. This position will work closely with and be managed by the Council on Aging. Tell us about your experience working in a group setting.
I work in a group setting probably presently, I would say 2 to 3 times in a month. I do the instructions myself, the after-school instructions. Once a month I meet with my commission members to discuss, and if people come from the community to voice their concerns or opinions or whatever. Before then, as the Alzheimer's director, I did many department head meetings. I did a lot of trainings. I dealt with a lot of families coming in with hospitals and things of that nature. And I do a lot of vendor work now. I don't necessarily always have the vendors come to me. Sometimes I like to go and meet with them at their facility just to see how they work. I deal with the community, I would say, in large groups when we do our town meetings and things like that. Some people get up and might say something about Parks and Rec, and I have no problem getting up and, voicing whatever I need to answer any questions that they might have or any concerns.
So you have experience advocating for the population?
I do, and I did that as an Alzheimer's director too. I would work with families. I was the liaison between the nurses and the director of nurses and things like that with their families, doctors, end-of-life support groups, things like that I've done.
Great.
Volunteers are integral to the operation of a successful Council on Aging. What would you do to organize and increase volunteer participation? Do you have any experience in this area?
As far as volunteers, I feel as though you have to work, first of all, I've learned especially with the town of Princeton, that you have to work with other departments, the libraries, recreation, just about everybody, and to get the newsletter out. One of the things that I've found successful as Parks and Rec is social media. Now I know at working with Council on Aging, some of these people don't use that, but the people that do are their family members. So as far as getting volunteers out, I feel like using social media and newsletters, and I don't know if you have a town paper or anything like that, I feel like although the target audience is our aging population, I also feel that our audience needs to be the population before them, because that's who is probably taking care of those people. Those are the people that are going to be the next ones that are going to wonder what's going to happen next. I myself, I know that I'm leery, or I used to be leery, of hearing senior center or council on aging, but it's not. I think people are under the wrong idea of what exactly it is, and I feel like having those newsletters and social media and word of mouth is really important to get the word out to everybody.
Okay.
Well, Holly, you stole my next question, because, because it talked about, production of a regular newsletter, something that you're comfortable with. So I'm thinking she answered yes. So go ahead, next question to you.
Well, I know one of the questions
I'll give you one further down.
Oh,
There you go.
thanks.
No.
I know one of the questions George had asked me was if I had any experience using the Microsoft Publisher, and that's exactly what I used at the Sterling Senior Center.
Okay, good.
There goes your question.
That's true.
Yes.
What's your experience and comfort level with the basic office software?
I actually had left a newsletter that I won, just one
Yeah,
newsletter.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just looking at it. All right.
And I think we've covered, have you worked in a municipal setting also? Do you have any experience applying for grants?
So I have had experience working with other people doing grants. What I found is the Wachusett Community College actually has a lot of people that are willing to volunteer their time to help write some of the grants. So reaching out to some of those people, because I feel like it's not always a one-person thing. I would not feel comfortable taking on something if I didn't think that I could succeed in it. So me asking for help in that matter, I would have no problem doing that. Next month I am taking a course, an intermediate course for Excel, and I saw that they are also offering a grant writing, kind of like an intro, which I feel like is something that I should do, if not for this position, any position going forward.
Over at Assabet?
Wachusett Community.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Because at Assabet, they're offering one too.
Grant writing. I think most community colleges offer those classes in the evening. I've taken American Sign Language over at the Monty Tech schools and things like that. I'm always looking. So I would have no problem doing that either.
Okay. Would you like to ask the next one, Peg?
Oh, it is my turn. Okay. Let's see. Are there any here that you've already answered? So you know that we're a small town by taking a look at it. One of the major challenges that we have is the bus. Do you have any thoughts on possible solutions to help operate the bus?
Well, I did do some assisting to that when I worked as the outreach coordinator over in Sterling. We basically had a schedule, and I was not the only one that knew about the schedule. So what we felt was we had volunteers that knew about the schedule. So if something had to be changed, if we ran into a problem with a bus driver or anything like that, without knowing exactly how your routine works, that's kind of a hard question to go forward, because I don't know if I think George had said that you do have your own bus for Berlin.
We do.
But I don't know how many drivers you have or anything like that. So as far as being able to communicate, I think that's something that I have to learn.
That's fair.
Do you have any familiarity with any of the organizations that run the bus systems? Did
So
you
the
do that in
Montechusett,
Sterling? Montechusett,
yeah.
and- okay, excellent. Because I think that needs to probably
Yes.
be looked at as a potential solution.
Okay.
So it's helpful that you're aware of that.
Okay. Can you discuss any specific ideas, comments, or concerns you may have from learning about the position through the interview process?
I think after leaving the last interview, the only question that I feel I could learn more about is perhaps what are your goals for your Council of Aging Director in the next 3-6 months to a year? What would you expect from me to accomplish?
Being the liaison to the Council on Aging, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Well, as you know, right now it's entirely run by volunteers. A couple things that I'd like to see addressed. I'd like, at some point, a solution for the bus, a plan, whether it's this is how we go forward with our bus, or can we use somebody else?
Okay.
Can we get a grant to cover some of the costs? You know, that's an area I think really needs to be looked at. Right now you met George. George runs around like a madman trying to get Council on Aging stuff done,
Okay.
As do some of the other volunteers. I think that we need to take that load off of, some of that load off of those volunteers while still working with them, and letting them be a part of the process.
Yeah.
But take some of that, particularly the financials. I think it would be helpful if some of that, bill paying
Sure.
and those types of items come under someone who we're paying to do.
And right now,
those.
all of those are divided up between all of the are they volunteers, or are those the commission members that are doing those
Well,
things? Because I
they're-
think I saw 7 commission members on it.
There are 7 of them, and they you have one person who does the Meals on Wheels. You have George handles the bus. All
Sure.
of these things are handled by like one person who's running around doing all of this stuff.
Okay.
I think they could do a lot more in the way of educational type programs, those types of things.
Is this the main place where those events happen? As far as I know, they said that exercise happens downstairs, but is there another town building where Council on Aging programs could happen if for some reason they couldn't be here?
There's the 1870 Town Hall.
Okay.
So that's another building that's available. There's also sort of, we have a community center that isn't run by us,
Okay.
but it's kind of serves that role of a senior center to
Okay.
it.
It's
to
not
an
a town
extent.
building.
Okay.
19 Carter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But-
And Evie is really great about working
Okay.
with different organizations to do things over there.
Okay.
I'm sure that she would be receptive if different programs or that sort of thing, if you brought that forth and worked with her.
Sure.
So there are resources available.
Because I have found, and one of the other places that I worked very, very short was for the town of West Boylston. I was doing their Parks and Rec also. But what I found was even they struggle to have a place to have events, and I feel like that's a big thing in almost all towns. So I just wanted to know if there were other places available.
Yeah, definitely. We actually are pretty lucky in that regard, I think.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that I had. I know there'll be others, or there would be others if I was to be hired.
Your turn.
So it's part-time,
Mhm.
it's challenging.
Mhm.
How do you organize your day?
I feel balance, no overloading. I'm schedule, and get done the things that need to get done in a timely manner, basically. If I get this position, I still plan on keeping my position in Princeton. They are flexible because I get to work a lot of those hours from home, from my laptop. So I just, again, a balance between the things that need to get done today and perhaps you put in an extra long day today and not so long tomorrow. I think it all varies, and just being available for people.
Do you have any questions for us other than the one you just asked?
I think that was it. Those seem to be the biggest questions that I came up with when I worked for the town that I work for now. And there's questions always, every day. So
Oh, yeah.
there's always somebody to ask and to help you through. And I have I have no problem asking people for assistance if I need to. But I also work independently, myself too. I did see the office space downstairs. I thought that was nice. I thought, I see that it will be shared. Well, I think it will be shared. And just, I don't know, just, I look forward to having the opportunity to collaborate with other departments and things like that.
Okay, so they actually didn't tell you that we weren't planning on sticking you in the basement and you still want the job? Because the intention was to move you up here in some respect and not make you stay down in the basement.
I was pleased to see that there was a spot
There was an
for
extra
me.
spot,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're hoping for better than a closet. So,
I understand.
yeah. I did have one other quick thing
Sure.
that I had forgotten to put on here was there are several meetings that right now the Council on Aging does not have the capacity to attend meetings with Council on Aging directors and those sort of things,
Sure.
where you can bounce ideas and that sort of thing. Is that something that you?
You know, if people can be available by phone, by email, I know that they had mentioned that there is one meeting a month, which I'm used to. I think they had mentioned Wednesday afternoons, and it can be flexible. I would assume that the town of Berlin is the same way. You need at least 3 to have the quorum. Is that correct here?
It depends
I
on the
think,
number.
there's 7, so you need 4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flexibility. If a meeting can't be on a Wednesday, maybe it's on a Thursday. So, but I do like to meet with the commission members because I feel like, you know, especially where they do so much behind the scenes, and they will talk to other people that I might not talk to. Even if they wanted to do an office drop by or whatever they wanted to do, I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
How are you gonna, you said you're gonna continue in Princeton? Is that?
19 hours. It's a
19
part-time.
hours?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And you think that that would work out with both?
I believe so. I don't think that it's any different than a 40-hour position, and as I had mentioned, I get to work a lot of those hours from home. So I work 19 hours there, and 12 of those hours I basically work at home, and I'm available. I have designated office hours so people know that I'm going to be in the building from, and right now it's Wednesdays 8 to 11 and Thursdays 8 to 11, or by appointment, and those hours are very flexible, so I don't want, please don't think that she can't be here Wednesdays or Thursdays. That's not it at all. And I live very close to there, and I'm about 23 minutes on a good day from here. I believe I can make it work.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Good. All right.
Okay. When do you know when you might be making the decision?
Tonight.
Oh, okay.
Tonight.
Okay, very
Do we
good.
want to talk about it now?
Well,
or?
I mean, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right.
All right.
So, do I
Let's
hear
put
a
together
motion
and
to?
move to hire Holly?
Oh,
Welcome aboard, Holly, I second.
thank you so much.
All in favor?
Oh, I just
Aye.
got
Aye.
Oh, thank you. I honestly don't know what to say, so what's next?
We'll need to put together an offer letter and
Okay.
go through Mary's
Mary
gonna
would be a
have
great
list of things
resource
for you
for
to
you
do.
as far as, anything that you need to know, or
Okay.
Mary?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. We just hired somebody.
Fantastic.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, I'd be happy to help you.
Okay, great.
So this is me.
Okay.
And are you available immediately? Is this something like tomorrow daytime we would be doing, or?
I could come in tomorrow afternoon.
Okay,
Would that be okay?
that's fine.
Do you have a lunchtime, I assume?
Yeah.
I could come
right
in.
Here.
She
Come on
eats
in with
ramen
a coffee
noodles.
and you be my best friend.
There you go.
How about noon?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yep, and so all the employment forms,
Okay.
I'll talk to you when you leave here
Okay.
about a couple of things to bring in,
Yeah.
and that'd be great.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, good.
Great, thank you. Am I good?
Congratulations.
You're good.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Good.
Thank you.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
You too.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Stop at Sterling Ice Cream Bar on the way home.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Bagel Cafe, yes, I live right there.
Oh.
Right on that
oh.
road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
That wasn't easy. Like,
Yeah.
I think would be great.
Had you been in the other interview?
I was not. I was not in the first one, so I didn't want to be in the second one. Because I didn't want to have that
Right.
bias that I knew one and didn't know the other. So
Yeah.
This was the first time I met her.
Eloise did say that each of the candidates were comfortable with the space downstairs.
Wow. Ah.
So.
Have you been in? You hadn't been
I
in there.
do
You
not.
really need to get
I
in
do
there.
not know which room it is. I've been down there now. Oh, it's not the Council on Aging room. It's
Okay, in the Council on Aging room, there's a closet that they
must be
normally
a
lock.
big closet. Bigger than a closet.
I'm trying to think what would be equivalent. No, it's probably like that big. It's very small.
And is this
and
a
there's no
shared
windows.
office space or?
It's really just for Council on Aging. But I'm going to tell you, it was a broom closet at one point. It was a storage closet. It wasn't never meant to be an office.
Okay.
Um,
Well, we'll see if we can.
I would
We'll
be
jiggle.
Maybe not immediately, but we
Yeah.
can work something out.
It would be creepy being down there by yourself. Really would.
All right. The
Number
next
4.
thing we have on our agenda is the request for real property tax relief. The town's CR purchase. And I don't know, I spoke with Molly, and she had some information she wanted me to share with the both of you before we go and send this off to town council if we still decide to do that. This is just like a draft of, like, let's say it's an example of 1.28 acres. So these are the different years. These are the values. This is the tax rates. This is the full tax that would be due. But when you have a chapter land, if you have it in chapter land, which the property that's in question was in chapter land for like 30 years or something,
34.
that's the full tax, for example. This is what the resident paid, and this is the tax that was saved. And this is the different years, and so that year it would be this, and it's still about $5 and something, and then that's the tax that was saved. So, I just wanted to make sure that you all had taken a look at some of this information so you can get the whole picture. When this came out of chapter land, and sometime in 2016, they have 3 years before they have to start paying the tax. And apparently then the tax ran, the tax after 3 years, they have to start paying this tax. And that may have been what happened. And so that's the part that they're looking for relief on. Just, to give you a bigger picture. I don't know if you have any questions that I can answer. But these are the different properties too. But some of these did not come out of chapter land Sounds like a.
61.
Sounds like a.
But it is chapter land.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it sounds like
61,
a.
is it 61A or whatever it is?
Yes. So, I mean, it's another aspect of looking at it. I think that probably the resident should have rolled that cost into the closing. I'm not sure if there will be anything we can do. We can always contact town council to see if there's anything we can do. The other thing I was a little concerned about after thinking about it for a while was that it could be setting a precedent.
Mm-hmm.
And so that
you're-
was one thing I just wanted to bring up too.
You're definitely setting precedents for anyone who has ever given land to Berlin or someone who will be giving land to Berlin, and they can come back and could be like, hey, you did it once. Oh, you're not doing it for me. You're discriminating against me. So
I guess The one thing that I would point out would be that the portion of the tax that they got charged because our Conservation Commission could not pay for it in a timely manner, there's at least a year on there that they wanted to give it at that point, and they got charged tax for that year because the Conservation Commission asked them to wait.
Right.
So I guess
And I
for
didn't
me,
think- I don't
that
think-
would be the portion, because that was kind of on us.
So that's the 5,000 that she's looking for, or is
That
that
may
a portion
be
of
No,
it?
it's probably a portion of it. Where we,
So perhaps that is a compromise, because that really was our fault. Because we couldn't, they wanted to give it to us.
The problem is,
we
how
said
do we
want
pay for it? You know?
That would be where legal would come in, I guess, and say,
Well, I think legal would probably say you can or you can't, too.
or they could say you can put a warrant on
Right.
the town meeting coming
Right.
up or something of that nature. I honestly don't know the best way to do that. I'm just saying, if I was looking at this from a fairness aspect or what we're responsible for me, it would be,
Just the portion.
1 year.
Which would
That-
probably
that
be a
year.
percentage of that amount, but I'm not sure. Are we missing something?
When the parties are both represented by council as they were, there's usually a purchase and sale extension for the time of performance or closing. And usually, someone will step up and say something about that. So maybe it wasn't clear to everybody how much the carrying costs would be on taxes, but it is commonly adjusted. So in order to get a contract extension for the purchase and sales agreement, they were represented. Maybe it would be reasonable for the town to have expected that 3, 4, 5,000 was chump change when they're gonna get 800,000. But it's all after the fact. They were represented by a boutique firm that specializes in real estate transactions.
Yeah,
They
well,
have a claim against their own. I don't know if they already barked up that tree or not. That's not really the town's concern, but should
Right.
the town come up, set a precedent where this could happen in other instances? And then goodbye.
But there's one other thing I was gonna tell you, but now I can't remember what it was. Oh, the other thing that Molly did say is that this amount here, which was saved, is actually spread around to the others, in some shape or form.
over into the other properties that are in 61A, or over into what?
That was what I wasn't clear on, but I
Okay.
believe it was the other taxpayers.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be that even if we did take it to town meeting, it might fail because people may understand this. I'm not sure. But I wanted to make sure that you had this information before we called town council or requested town council's advice. I'm also being cognizant of the fact that we have a $6,000 town council bill just for this month. So that's why I wanted to make sure that you had this information, and do we still want to send this to town council or no?
I'll say no. I mean, based on what could have been paid, based on what was paid, if you add up that column and you add up that column, there's a pretty significant difference, and very grateful that they gave Berlin the town, that they
Absolutely.
gave the land, the 1.2 acres, but at the same time too, there's not much you can do with 1.2 acres. You can't drop anything on it,
That's
because you
true.
need 2 acres, so I don't honestly see the need to take this to town council, and as Mary was saying, if both parties were equally represented by legal, and it didn't come up, it's over and done with.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I do feel bad, but like you said, I don't really want to have other people knocking at the door saying that they want to be
Correct.
reimbursed for something either. But I am very thankful that, the land was given to Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you couldn't actually, the significance of the 1.2 acres is you couldn't get to all the conservation land behind it.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if she had a map in here or not. No.
Yeah, I do. I mean,
Yeah.
on a personal note, I feel badly. But our job is to represent the town and to take care of the business and the money, and I don't think it's a wise use of going to town council and/or saying, check
Right.
here.
Okay.
I'm sure that will make many people unhappy, but this is our job.
Right.
That's,
Okay.
we're all in agreement. It's fine. I just wanted to make sure we talked it through and we
Mhm.
made sure we had all the facts there.
Agreed.
Good. All right. Thank
So
you.
will we be sending her a letter?
Yes, I think we should send her a letter. Maybe if you put that in the minutes.
I shall.
And I will also, I'll write myself a note here, talk to Mary about it. All
Before we
right.
move on, can we make sure if this issue ever comes up again that we don't have the Conservation Committee kind of like stepping out of their shoes and offering something that may come back to the town that they're not a part of anymore?
I do not believe that they have, I'm not sure they have the funds to do anything
Right,
about
but
this.
for them,
Is that
so,
what
you
you're
know,
asking?
well, no, so let's say I have a ton of conservation land behind my house and I've got a small plot. And I say, oh, I want to give it to the town, and they say, oh, well, why don't you wait a year? That's what I don't want them to be offering advice and guidance without looking at the much
Look
broader
bigger
picture.
picture.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that might be a good communication to send back to
Yeah.
conservation, just to,
I guess the other piece of that is, once again, I would caution, we are working with an entirely volunteer board there who is really doing the best that they can.
yeah.
agreed.
So I
And-
think that they did the best they can, they could with the knowledge that they had,
Mhm.
and probably didn't realize the repercussions
Well, I
of
think
what was
Walter
happening.
did say that, I think.
Yeah, they just didn't, and it's not like they do these every day either,
Agreed.
or
Right.
would be in this situation. There's actually a lot of that sort of thing where, you're just trying to
do what is
figure it
right.
out
Correct.
and do the right thing.
Correct. Well, maybe this is part of the precedence for learning, so that if it comes up again,
Right,
there's a stop. Oh,
Right.
what about, and we start to go through.
right.
Okay. So
Well,
we
we
use
could
this as our learning
Well,
opportunity.
we could share our minutes with the conservation, just so they understand,
Mhm.
what's going on. All right.
Can you make sure that we get a copy of the piece of paper that you have there too?
This one?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's very helpful.
Sure. But she did want to make sure that it's just a draft,
Yeah,
so.
that's fine,
um,
but it still sort of demonstrates the,
Our logic and, bless you. Well, no, our logic and reasoning behind it, so if someone says, we can go. Okay.
How about if I ask for copies to be sent to you?
Mhm.
Is that good?
yeah, I'm sure Molly probably has that on, she can just.
Yeah. All right. Let's see, request another town council. This one is a request to access town council concerning the liquor barn, whose license has been revoked. However, they have, I believe, 30 days from, and I don't remember the exact date, not too long ago, to challenge the revocation of their license. And then we have 2 applications to take the license. And I don't think that we have ever had to deal with that before. It may be a matter of we have 2 hearings in one night for the liquor license and then make a decision. But how do you make that decision is what I think the procedure and how to make the decision between
I'm
2.
wondering if that's just a first in, first out, or is it a decision based on location, or, yeah.
I don't know. And I
Yeah.
think that both of them have been, both of the one at Highland Commons and the wine cellar at BJ's have both been
Persistent.
hounding
Persistent.
since they've been watching the whole progress of the license being revoked at Liquor Barn. So that is what this is all about. Might be something we can't avoid asking town council
Well,
about.
I think this is another one of those things where, while I'm cognizant of the cost of legal,
Right.
the ramifications of the election where we no longer have a lawyer on the board, so we need to protect the town by using legal counsel when it's necessary.
Right.
I don't think we've been negligent in our duty of. I think we've honestly used legal counsel where we need to use legal counsel.
Right. I think we've been very conservative about it, but in some cases it can't be avoided.
Yeah. And I won't apologizing for protecting the town by bringing proper legal counsel in on things that we do not know. And your stomach's also protesting.
All right. So are we in agreement that we need to get some kind of legal counsel to give us direction on how to proceed with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not something I can Google.
No.
I can Google a lot, but that's not one I think that's going to come up when I say, we've got to give two.
And do you
we've
tr-
got
do you
one."
tr-
You'd be surprised.
Do we
Have
cut-
you
do
tried
we
it?
cut the license in half and give part of the baby to both sides? I don't know.
Yeah, really. All right. So the last thing is that I wanted to give us a chance to talk again about that suggested written liaison policy. I just want to, I guess I don't think that there's a real problem here. I think that what we need to do is just agree that, you know, what the proper way to be a liaison is. I mean, basically, we're just we're advocating for better communication between these different boards and committees to the selectmen, and I think that's the most important part. And I was going to talk to just a couple of minutes at the end of that department head meeting. We talked about just saying, you know, minutes help with communication. You know, letting your liaison know what problem there is, whether it's by email. You can email the whole board. You can email your liaison. Just trying to make sure that the communication is there, and that and that's basically what the definition of a liaison is just to facilitate the communication between two entities. And I don't know if anybody else has anything else to say.
That's fine, but that's not what that policy says. That is not what that policy says.
Well, that's what I think a liaison is what I'm saying.
Okay, I don't agree with the policy. I think that, you know, in a lot of cases, it's helpful for the committees to know if we have an opinion, so that they know, you know, and yes, it is, they're well aware that it's only one person's opinion, but that is one person.
Mm-hmm.
So they know if they have one person who will go and advocate for what they're talking about. It's also, you know, procedurally, a lot of times, because we do this stuff regularly and they don't, it's really helpful to have somebody who knows procedurally, you do this, you do this, you do this to get this done. And it's been helpful, I know, for the committees that I interface with, for me to be able to say, you know, if you want to get this done, you need to bring this piece to the select board, you need to fill out this piece of paper, you need to talk to Mary about this piece, you know, just those
Oh, I don't think that that's an issue.
That's what that says.
Well, if there's
That's
something that
procedural.
needs to, if it needs to be reworded,
Yeah.
then that's a
Well,
different story.
Basically, that says we're supposed to sit in the meetings and say nothing. That is what that says.
No.
And that is not.
No, I didn't get that. I didn't
Yeah.
get that at all. The biggest line that stuck out to me was the liaison should carry back to the Board of Selectmen the concerns or requests of the department. And even though we do. Maybe we need to tighten up how we do that.
Meaning,
Well, what specifically are you looking for? I mean, I could go in depth on the 2 meetings that I was in last night, but, was there really anything besides giving you guys a heads up of what was coming? I don't know, but no, I didn't take that at all, that we should just sit and be quiet. I think that this is saying that as the liaison, we need to do a better job of keeping the others on the board up to speed, because I think that there's an assumption by some of the other boards that, oh, you already know about that. It's like, no, I don't. So it kind of makes us look a little bad that we're not sharing information. And I wonder what the perception is of, someone going, well, I told so-and-so, they didn't tell you? No. That's what I'm getting from this, is that we need to do a better job of keeping the other 2 informed of what's going on with the other boards and committees that we're responsible for working with.
I can tell you when I go to committee meetings, I come back here and I report what's happened. I won't vote for that because I don't like what it says. I don't like the implications of what it says.
I don't even know
You're
if
welcome
there's
to-
a need right now to have it in writing or not. I mean, there are a lot of, several towns that I've talked with have said that, yeah, they do have something in writing. Others that I looked at online, all they have is, this one's the liaison for that committee and so on and so forth. They don't have anything that I could find online. The reason I came up with this is because I contacted, like I said, the town administrator in Harvard, and he said that they're actually going to probably do away with the liaisons at some point because they're doing their charter. So,
Yep, and
And
I
it may
see
be
less of a
something-
need when the town administrator comes in. But
That's
right now, I think
what I
that,
was going to say.
having us be involved at a deeper level has been helpful in the past year. And the committees that I work with tend to be very happy that somebody is showing an interest in the work that they do and bringing the things that they need back to the board without having them having to constantly haul themselves in here or just figure it out themselves. This has been something that,
Right.
from the perspective and the feedback that I've gotten, has been successful.
All right, so why don't we compromise? Is that, maybe we don't go with this wording and we take it out of the presentation and we ask. We just ask all the groups in the room, what do you think that our role should be? And then that's what governs us. Let them tell us of, some may say, I just need you to sit there. Some may say, I want your opinion. To which our rebuttal is, remember, that is one of
opinion.
3. So don't take that one opinion as gold
Yeah.
and run with it. It's your responsibility to come back to the board.
Really, what good is one opinion when it has to be something that comes,
Agreed, but one
to the
opinion can
board?
sway. One opinion can sway. I can
can.
tell you that I probably
Yeah.
didn't make many fans last night with the one that I was in, but that wasn't my role to make
The other thing
fans.
that I just want to put out there is that I think by saying, I can only give you my personal opinion, and it's the board's opinion that's important, is being respectful to you two when I say that.
Oh, when I give an opinion, I'm very clear about where it's coming from. This is my opinion.
Right.
This is what the board said. This is my opinion. I am very clear about that.
Yeah,
There is
because-
no question on anybody's part
And that's
where that's
what
coming from.
that's, I think, one of the most important things is it's respectful for me not to, if I give my personal opinion, it would be only to say it's my personal opinion and not the board's. Because it's being respectful to the 2 of you.
But I don't think there's an issue with any of us doing that, and I don't think there's any confusion on the parts of the boards or committees that that's the case.
Okay, well, then I'll just temper whatever I have to say about the minutes and the open meeting law and even about liaisons in accordance with what we've just talked about.
So do you want to come back with option C? Instead of doing that we just, kind of like what we just did, is highlight our goals for the role of the liaison so that it's just clear? Because that's the whole point of the meeting. Hear it all. Everyone hears the same thing.
So the goals of what like me as a liaison to whoever,
Mm-hmm.
what my goal is. Yeah, I mean, I could just say it's basically communicating with or hearing things at a meeting and bringing it back to you two, for me.
The only thing I would note on that is I don't think there's any confusion on the other side about what a liaison does. I don't think this is a confusing situation for any of the boards or committees that I work with. But, you know, you can go forward and do.
You work with, the
That I
key
work
word,
with,
that
yes.
you work with.
Yeah.
So you have 2 other people here.
Yeah, and
So
that's
we
fine.
wanna make
I'm
sure-
just saying from my perspective, I don't think there's any confusion at all.
But wouldn't you
Okay.
want the same information and your point of view and what your goals are to be the same for all the other groups that you don't touch? That's all I'm getting to, again, is that it's just, it's transparent, it's the same, because that's the whole thing. Talk to Chris, talk to Lisa, talk to Peg, you run whoever you run into. So they feel confident of, well, Lisa's really my gal, but I know she's tripsing around Europe, so I ran into you at the dump. See, I got you taken off to Europe to go back, you know, so I ran into
Thank
you at the dump.
I
You're
will let my
welcome.
husband know that, you know.
Well, Tim
I
can go
got-
too.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a twofer. He can go too.
Yeah.
You know, so-and-so's not around, so you're here. So they feel confident of, well, Lisa used to, so then I'm gonna assume you also. That's all I'm saying. It's just to have that commonality between the 3 of us.
Right. Yeah. That's good for me.
Okay. I'll make up something.
And make up something. Can
I'll
you
make up
share
something.
it with us?
Yes, I'll share it with
Well,
you. I'll put it in
thank
the
you.
presentation.
Oh, that's a little late.
No. Well, I need to go home and think. But no, because
right.
that presentation is still up for, you know, input and looks at. So until we're ready to roll it to the groups,
Yeah.
that's a living, breathing document.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other new business, old business, selectmen updates since Monday?
Just gonna roll in a cot and sleep here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're good.
We're good.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Mr.